Hello, everyone. My name is Danny Diaz. Welcome to New Day Restoration. So, I wanted to come on here and shoot this very quick video because I believe that it's going to encourage many of you who are standing for a loved one or a spouse who is an unbeliever or someone who is far away from God, like many of our spouses are or family members right now. I believe that this will encourage you. So if you could, please like and subscribe. And if you feel like this has been an encouragement by the end of this video and you know that this will help someone else, please share the video. So I'm going to kind of give you some background information. I grew up in church. My father is one of, I believe, 14 kids. He's the youngest. All of the men in my family on my father's side, they're all pastors except for him. I think most of them, if not all of them, most of them are pastors. So I grew up in church. I grew up going to church, three times a, a week, two, three times a week, right? So I knew the word, I knew church, but never really had a relationship with God or an encounter with God. So fast forward, I move out at 17 years old. I move out very young on my own, and I'm experiencing life. I'm living in Miami in my late 20s. I'm fast forwarding to my late 20s now. And I had come to the understanding that there were different paths to God, which we know is not true. But at that time, that's what I had believed. And really, it was because I didn't want to be held accountable for the way that I was living my life. So that's what I believed, that there were different paths to God. And at this time, I had been suffering with anxiety and depression for a good like 15 years, right? So I was on medication. Um, I would go to the hospital, the emergency room, a few times a month, every single month, because I was having panic attacks. I would be on FMLA with work, um, and just not leaving my house for months on end because I just had this crippling anxiety and depression. So I was really in a bad state mentally, which really was all spiritually. Thank God that He delivered me from all of that. So, anyways, I am engaged to this person, engaged to someone, excuse me. This person lives in Chicago. They moved down to Miami for me. We're engaged, and he begins to cheat on me. He mistreats me. And that did not make things good for me because I was already suffering from depression and some mental illness. So, this whole situation really jacked me up so bad. I was in a place where I was probably the lowest place I had ever been. So I'm living in Miami, no family. I had friends, but at this time I'm isolating myself. So I'm living by myself with no support system, completely no hope. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. No hope, no joy, no happiness, no purpose, no peace in my life, not sleeping, um, just completely heartbroken that this man had did this to me. Um, and I just wanted to die. I just wanted to die, you guys. When I say I wanted to die, I literally wanted to die and I tried to kill myself. I tried to commit suicide. So I'm sitting on the floor in this apartment and, I'm crying, just crying on the floor. I'm sprawled out. And I remember just getting up on my knees and kind of sitting up like this on my knees in the middle of the floor. And I had some pills in my hand and I just cried out. And I said an unbiased prayer because I was so desperate. And this was probably the first time in a long time that I said a prayer. And I said, God, I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are, but I need you. I need you right now. I need you to show up. And the reason why I'm sharing this testimony, you guys, is because many of us have been praying for something radical to happen with our loved ones. Many of us have been praying for encounters with God where it would smack our loved ones across the head to wake them up because we are in the last hours. So I'm sharing this with you because We know that God says the word says that it's not good for man to be alone, right? But at the same time, God will allow pockets of isolation so he can deal with us. And in this moment, I was isolated. I had no one. I had no one to depend on. I could only cry out to God in this moment. And so when I cried out and I said this unbiased prayer, I didn't care if it was Allah that showed up. I didn't care if it was Buddha. I didn't care who it was. But in that moment that I said that, and I pled out like a unbiased, genuine prayer because I really needed God to show up and I really wanted to know who He was. I felt a wind come in my room, and I felt something put its arms around me like this, like it was hugging me. And in that moment, I heard, "I love you." And I knew it was Jesus. And from that point on, my life has never been the same. Never been the same from that point on. And I share this story because we can get so focused on what it looks like that we discount God's capabilities. He's God, He can do any and everything. So I just want to encourage you all to never give up, to continue to intercede, to continue to pray for your loved one's salvation, because that's what this is about. For those who are standing in the gap for a marriage, you don't even have to pray for your marriage. If you're standing in the gap for God to restore your marriage, pray for their salvation, because when they surrender to Christ and their heart is aligned with His and they want what He wants, He will tell them to go home. That's a given, because we know that God restores, and we know that God is a covenant keeping God. So we already know that that's a given. What He's more concerned with right now is their soul. So intercede and pray for their soul, and pray for those encounters with God. I believe that they are coming. I believe that God's glory is here and He's doing something big on this earth. We need to be praying for a harvest of souls to come in. We need to be praying for revival and just asking the Lord to use us. That's why we're here. That's why we're living during this time. But I just wanted to share that testimony, because I was in a place where I had no support. I had no one to turn to. And that's exactly where I needed to be. And God showed up. Jesus showed up. So I hope this encourages you. God bless. Love you all.